never know that. Jen brings with her the energy and the flair of a very young teacher, and students are excited to walk into her classroom every day. We ask the students what they like best, and they certainly enjoy her great sense of humor and say she's the funniest and the greatest teacher they've ever had. Jen loves to engage students in what they're learning, and they have fun every day. Jen's a master teacher at Fowler. She teaches both science and religious education this year, but we all know that master teachers teach much more than content. She reaches every student in her class. She makes a point of getting to know them personally and leads students through engaging activities that get them hooked on what they're studying. She helps connect the material to their lives and makes it very relevant for them and keeps her lessons hands-on, interesting, and fun. Jen also teaches in an inclusive environment and always has students with significant diverse needs in her class. Every student is taught at their level and are made to feel welcome and made to feel a part of their community. Albert Einstein once said, it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. And to us, that's Jen. But Jen's impact at Fowler has so much more to do than her teaching. She is involved in almost every aspect that creates the amazing culture that Fowler is known for. She's created positive relationships with her students, ensuring she knows about them personally, and her room is often the place to be during all the breaks. If we're looking for somebody, we tend to look in Jen's classroom. She assists as a coach for some of our athletics teams, so students have the chance to be involved in the school community outside of the classroom, and it also helps her get to know the students in a deeper level. Jen is also the life and the party of the school. Her energy, humor, and positive vibe sets the tone for sure for the school. Staff and students really look up to Jen as a leader. Jen creates our yearbook every year, and students can't wait to see the wonderful memories that she puts hours into. She's also involved in every activity around the school, from organizing our awards nights, our grade 9 farewell, our welcome back events for parents and students. And so this month we're so just fortunate to be able to recognize Jen. Teaching is becoming more and more difficult, and we're so grateful for the Rotary Club for this support, just to be able to recognize our teachers and the hard work that they do. So thank you so much, Jen. Congratulations, and thanks again to the Rotary Club.
Danielle, that was absolutely fantastic. It's always exciting to do the Teacher of the Month. This is our second one via Zoom. So it's kind of
what's
weird.
in the bag, Doug?
I'm not there yet, Alan. Just settle down there, you elderly state. Hey, it's so cool to do this. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting Danielle the other day for the first time. She was in my store, and we got to chat a little bit about Jen, your contributions, and just what it's like with the schools right now. And it's amazing in the amount of, I deal with almost every school here in St. Albert, is everybody's in this twilight zone kind of way of teaching and stuff. But there's always this common thread when it comes to the Teacher of the Month. And listening to Danielle's comments of humor, I can see, I just look at you and I know you are one funny girl. You're the life of the party. You've got a culture of positivity that you connect with people. And I think that goes so very far with the students of today. One of the things I like to do when I'm doing these presentations, I like to find out about the namesake of your school. And it was quite interesting to dig into Richard Fowler a little bit. He came from nothing. He basically quit school, came back, he ended up getting a law degree, ended up sitting on the bench. And he had these final words that, I kind of live by in the way that I look at life and teaching and stuff. And he said, before he passed away, he said, I want to leave you with some fatherly advice. Work hard to determine what your gifts are. Find a way to get paid for what you love, and you will be successful. And when I look at you in your presentation for Jen for the Teacher of the Month, it's obvious to me, Jen, that you live the life and you live the creed of what Mr. Fowler had, who's of course the namesake of your school. So I want to congratulate you from the Rotary Club, from the Gazette, and of course Staples here, who's your favorite office supply retailer. I'm sure if we're not, we will be very shortly. So you have a bag, Jen.
Yes, I do.
Do you have that bag?
I do.
Okay, do you have it with you?
Yeah, I do. It's right beside me.
Open it. Have you already opened it? Have you peeked at your Christmas presents or what?
I haven't. I was told not to open it. So being a good listener, I did not open it. I just pushed the lid.
Want you to pull a couple things that you're going to see. First, you're going to see a framed certificate there for your Teacher of the Month. You want to pull that bad boy out?
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at this. That's gorgeous.
Isn't that something? That is,
I love that.
That's a high quality Staples product right there.
That is high quality printing from Staples. I can see the quality from here.
Definitely high quality from Staples.
That is beautiful.
Now, let's reach in. There's some swag in there. I think you're gonna find some Sharpie stuff. You're gonna. Is there?
Oh, I got a water mug. Got a water mug. Staples. Love it. A+ teacher. Thank you.
That's right. Now you're gonna find some journals.
Some notebooks.
What's it say on that notebook? What's it say on that notebook?
The notebook says teach. It's wonderful. And this one is a set of 3 beautiful notebooks.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. If the hydro ever goes out, I have my headlamps here. I can work 24/7. Darkness, shine, it doesn't matter. Got some headlamps.
You can be the beacon of light in the school when it's so dark right now.
Yes.
Now, Jen, there's an envelope in there. I want you to pull that envelope out. You'll see a little white envelope.
Hey, Doug, even more important, I got some hand sanitizer. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's there too. Now,
right there
is a locally made product by an ice cream company, if you can believe that.
Really? That's super cool.
Yeah, so it's a liquid stuff. It's like 99 proof. So, you can always put a little bit of that in glass and maybe a little orange juice.
My coffee.
Trump says it'll work well. Now,
I found the envelope.
You do a connect thing, you put it on your forehead and you wish for something and then you rip it open, blow into it, pull it out, and let's see what's in that envelope. Now, everybody normally says, hey, what's in the envelope, Doug?
Forehead, rip it open.
What's in the envelope, Doug?
What do we got?
Blow into it. Staples! Woohoo!
Oh my God, it's a $100 gift card from
That
Staples.
is fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you to Staples, and thank you to the Rotary Club.
If you're a wise woman, you would hang on to that till Teacher Appreciation. Then you're going to save another 15 to 20%. So anything we can do to help teachers. So on behalf of the club, on behalf of the Gazette, who's one of our sponsors, and of course Staples, thank you so much, Jen. Congratulations. We're so proud of you and all that you give back to the community. So well done. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you back to you guys, to the Rotary, to all your sponsors, Staples, the Gazette. Thank you so much for recognizing for what we do in the community. We love what we do. I love what I do, and I just appreciate the recognition. So thank you so much to all you guys and for your support and being such a great beacon in the community. You guys are always a part of everything. Whenever we're doing stuff, we always see the Rotary sign, and Staples and the Gazette. So just kudos back to you guys for making St. Albert the place to be. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Woohoo!
Woo!
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Dave, we're going to miss you. So congratulations on retirement. Congratulations on a new job. Please come back and visit us for breakfast.
Thank you. Can I just quickly just give my profound appreciation to the Rotary, working with Ash for many years while this initiative has been put forward. It's a tremendous affirmation of what creates our future, which is the caring efforts of teachers within the classroom and the 3 systems that serve St. Albert. And I've just been really proud to witness it. And most importantly, proud of our teachers in Greater St. Albert Catholic and people like Jen and Danielle who keep the example going. So wonderful. And I'm sure I'll see you around, and you've always been gracious in inviting me. I've always said I'm a Rotarian on the cheap. And one day I think I may kind of check in, because you're a very inspiring group of people through your service and your attitude of caring. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
He would be a good member.
We've got your number. Moving on to the rest of our program this morning, we've got a couple of presentations, one by Craig and one by Mark. The easiest way to do the questions is through the chat function. And then if you want to unmute and actually have a conversation, that's fine. But if we can do the initial questions to the chat function, that should help us. So let's start with Craig, who is going to give us an update on the COVID-19 style task force that we have.
Actually, Anne, would you mind starting with Mark and just give me, I just need a minute to just get my notes together.
Okay,
I just need 2 minutes.
no problem.
Thanks.
Mark, we'll get going with you. And you're going to talk about the auction.
I am, yes. So I just need to be able to use screen sharing. Thank you for that. So what I'm going to do is take you through kind of a thought process. There are a number of folks here at the meeting, and our guests. Feel free to participate in this because you're more than welcome to join us in this amazing adventure that we're having here. This journey that we went through, and just as a bit of background, the Ways and Means Committee that plans fundraising and events met last night, so some of this is still very fresh. I'm trying not to touch it in an effort not to smear the ink. We had a meeting last week, and I got notes last night from Sandra and from Ash, so if I'm missing anything, please let me know. So back in March, we had an in-person event planned. COVID came, kicked us right in the funds, and we couldn't have that event. So we were all sad and said, okay, what do we do now? So that we started looking at opportunities. We decided that maybe a virtual gala concept might be a good option. We wanted to do something as soon as possible, and we wanted to do something in support of the community of St. Albert. Our hook is really we're focusing on COVID-19 recovery. In the past, we've selected individual charities, and we'll still profile some, but the approach very much is everybody is in need, and we're trying to raise funds so that we can set some priorities and help those in most urgent need. We have some unique auction items, which I'll show you, and we have a unique event and format. So what is the model? We came across this opportunity here. Junior Achievement partnered with Production World, and they pulled off this virtual gala fundraiser that Doug Campbell and I'm not sure if anybody else was able to attend, but they ran this event. I'll show you this very quick video just to give you a sense of what we're looking at for our event.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Quick Cards, a virtual night out.
On May 1st, 6 weeks after our world was turned upside down, and Edmonton first.
And good evening, friends, and welcome to Quick Cards virtual night gala in support of Junior Achievement. I'm Danny Hooper.
And I'm Jennifer Martin.
Is it? Yeah, we got.
Production World proudly hosted and produced Quick Cards virtual night out for Junior Achievement, an online gala watched by hundreds of participants on their devices while enjoying a gourmet charcuterie plate delivered to their homes. Apart from not being in the same room, it felt like the real thing.
Any of these?
Laughs and a live card trick with a twist. Videos showcasing guests of honor, a welcome from the Premier, and a touching tribute to a legendary businessman. There was entertainment,
Her name is Lola.
and believe it or not, a live auction on Zoom.
$1,000 once, $10,000 twice, 10,000 all in.
I was amazed. We only had 5 people participating in the live auction and made an incredible amount of money.
Including the online silent auction and private donations, the event raised more than $65,000. For Junior Achievement, our client, the bold move paid off.
I felt in such good hands with everybody at Production World. Just the attention to detail and the earnest work right from the beginning, the collaboration, the openness, the ease of communication, getting a hold of any of you at any time, day or evening, and the professionalism of the crew during the dress rehearsals, I have to say, really gave me peace of mind. I truly felt in great professional calm hands here, and the show was amazing. It went flawlessly. The kudos are pouring in. We tried a whole bunch of new things, and you guys pulled it off. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun making a difference from a distance. If you're looking for alternate ways to save your life.
Okay, blah, 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 promotional. So let's go back here to here. So partnering with Production World, what does this now look like? So we're looking at Celebrate St. Albert's, a virtual gala. So a little bit of profile around COVID, a little bit of tongue-in-cheek with the mask on the balloon, but so many opportunities taking the work that we had done for the live gala and shifting it over into a virtual environment with a fair number of tweaks. Ticket sales, we have our Eventbrite site set up. We're looking at maintaining the $150 ticket price because thankfully we have quite a few folks who had purchased tickets for the live gala and said that they would let those tickets ride, let their money ride until we picked up a new event. So it's easiest just for us to pick up those opportunities and say, we'll give you a $50 tax receipt, and we can facilitate that through our good friends at the St. Albert's Community Foundation. And we started talking last night about other options, $100 without the meal, but we'll explore that some more and come back. Givergy, we have quite a few items that have already been uploaded to our Givergy site. Now, hang on a second. I just want to give you a quick sense of this because it's actually pretty impressive. Okay, I think I'm ready. Okay, so this is our silent auction items selection, and some of these we'll need to revisit. We're going to go through these one by one and make sure that these donors are still okay with us continuing to have these items. But you can see that there are already bids from the previous gala on these items. So we can make this live well in advance of the gala and share the link beyond even just the attendees. So there's like 85 generous donations to the gala, quite a selection of a variety of items. And we had some live auction items. The Kennedy Space Center, we had to cancel, but others we're still going to go after. I'm hoping that the mayor and her kind escort will still explore an option with us. The Oilers tickets are there. Louis Lavoie is going to do a live painting, and we're going to see if we can't work out some way that we can have it live on the corner of the screen so that it can be viewed as he's going along. But there's barbecue chefs, there's custom and dinner, there's ladies drawing night, so like there's lots of options there. So if we come back here, so that's Givergy. Sponsorships we need to look at. Cash calls, this was a lengthy conversation and we still need to go through some options here, but we had 3 planned for the live event: Music Festival, Food Bank, and ANCOP, which was primarily connected to, it was a charity that the band supported, and if we supported ANCOP, they would do the entertainment for free. We need to review that mix and make sure that we have items that are engaging for the people participating in the gala, but also in this new environment. So we had a lengthy conversation about supporting the music festival and having that as an option, but having other ways just to support the festival. Difficult to support an entity that isn't going to have an event this year, so the immediacy of it isn't there. So anyways, lots of discussion still to go on. We talked about raffle tickets.
I have a question. I have a question mark.
Question mark? Yes.
Yeah, that question mark, yeah. It's Anita Rachinsky. Anyway, yeah. I wonder if, considering the manner in which the event has to go forward this year, if possibly the cash calls could be put on hold, considering that there's no event per se, and it makes these this additional call for money might be a little bit over the top, if you will. So I wonder if that could be revisited in just later.
Thank you. Absolutely agree. It's certainly something that we'll need to explore, and we'll bring it back. We're going to have another committee meeting this coming week to continue to work through the details, because we're looking at a July 7th date. We're going to have restaurants partnering with us, and Ash, thank you, bless your heart, has gone out and engaged with 6 different restaurants, and we have the opportunity to have 300 guests appropriately socially distanced within those 6 facilities. So engaging as smaller groups with the big screen in the restaurant, and engaging with the virtual. So we need to work that out. There was some question about do we go with smaller local restaurants versus chains? Who gets the first dibs at the restaurants? Is it people who have booked tables, they get a priority? We need to have a volunteer at each restaurant to not only help to focus the event experience, but potentially paying with the square in the restaurants. Those individuals who decide to participate in the event from home, we need to make arrangements to deliver their meals to them. So out of those restaurants, we'll have shortened meal options, and we can make sure that they have the full experience in spite of the fact that they're at home. And even out of town meals, want to make sure that they as well get the full experience. But it comes back to ticket prices, and around it goes. I don't want to turn this discussion into a committee meeting discussion, because we're going to have those, and we have a limited amount of time this morning. But if you have thoughts, please feel free to forward them to me. MC, we had Danny Hooper planned initially, and the more we talked about it, the more it just didn't work. He was kind of like a fish out of water in the virtual event, because he didn't have the live audience to engage with. And we talked about, is that the best solution? I reached out to Danny and kind of talked it through with him, and he would absolutely understood. So they're reimbursing our deposit. But thanks to Kathy and John, they reached out to a variety of local profile hosts, and I had a lovely chat with Shauna Randolph yesterday, and she's agreed to come on board to co-host the event. So very pleased about that. The anniversary content, and this is our, how am I doing with time? Okay, I'll keep it moving. Since this is our 30th anniversary year, we still want to do some highlights of our accomplishments over the 3 decades. And we talked about taking the concept of charter minutes, which we had created for the live gala, and continuing with that thought, but having our 3 founding members who are still with us, Ash, Anita, and Charlie, introduce the individuals, the presidents, past presidents from those decades, to speak to some of our major projects. Still working through the details on this, but that's kind of what it looks like. And it looks like as if Tracy Vavrick and Jim Ferguson, outgoing and incoming district governors, will be able to virtually attend as well. So I'm hoping that they'll do some quick videos. But the concept is very much that it cannot drag. We need to have it very tight and capture people's attention and move on from one engaging thing to the next. So that's part of what we're going to be leaning on the production company for. This conversation is one that needs to expand a little bit. We talked about presenting Paul Harris. It had been set up for the live gala. We talked last night about the venue is maybe not the best for this, and maybe we look for another opportunity. Sandra, thank you for your comments. Sandra said, well, it was her understanding that Bruce and his family have already been notified that they're receiving a Paul Harris, and John Farlinger bought a table for the previous gala, and so there may be a level of commitment there. We need to explore that further, and definitely would be interested in, Anne, your thoughts, James, and other anyone else who might have a perspective on that. Entertainment, we've reached out to our very good friends at the music festival. We've got some strong connections there, and they're going to look at some options for us entertainment-wise. Possibly Haley, she's very punchy and would be good for this audience, but you know, we have used her before. Could we do wine draws? John last night suggested, how do we, could we reach out to some famous people to do congratulations on our 30th anniversary, short little 10, 15 second video clips, and so that's underway. Promotions, we have lots of opportunities to do this. We're going to look at obviously sending out emails to our members once we have all of the links confirmed. We can send it out to the district. Not sure if we can use the flag email list, but we've got social media, and our members can share on their social media networks. Okay, let me just catch up with questions before I go on to this. Balloon is good, thank you. Wine testing for 15, good question. Everyone with ideas is welcome to the Ways and Means meeting. Absolutely. Shauna, yes, I'm excited about Shauna. Stacy is crushed. Oh, sorry to hear that. Snooze lose. If they knew when we need to proceed with the, if they know, then we need to proceed with the, oh, with the Paul Harris. Thank you, Les. So yeah, we'll need to confirm that and see how we proceed on that. Did Sturgeon Hospital do Givergy? I think they did. Dan will be able to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that they did.
Ask Dan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they did use Givergy, but it's a slick platform, and I'm actually having a conversation with them later today to talk about a virtual element that may assist in this format. So this, and I apologize for the size of the numbers. We'll definitely circulate this around to club members, but what you're looking at is a general budget breakdown for the event. And if you look from right to left, 2018, 2019 are the actuals from our live events. And then 2020 is the approved budget for the live event. And so what we did was evolved that, used that approved budget as a base, and then evolved it to the virtual environment. So ticket sales, we were hoping that the live event would be 400. We're thinking 250 or 200 maybe for the virtual event. And something that John commented on last night, you know, in this new world, in this new format, if we do a break even and celebrate our 30th anniversary and engage our members and our friends, then that would likely be considered a win. Sponsorship and donations, that's a wild guess. We still need to go through that list. Live and silent auction, at 30. And that could be lower than that, but that doesn't include raffles and whether or not we do cash calls. Advertising at 2,000 may not spend that depending on the responses that we get. Shauna's honorarium as MC. We don't have AV, that's bundled into the production company, which is 5,000. Graphic design and video, that'll probably be less, just because I may end up doing the videos myself, but the production company has the capacity to do something a little slicker depending on what we end up deciding. The dinner costs $250 at $50. Live auction expenses, if we end up purchasing some items to kind of flesh out the selection, and then 3,500, which we may not even touch, which is kind of additional expenses as they come along, considering the time frames. But I don't know if we need to vote on this budget, considering there are elements here that are above $1,000, considering our bylaws. But Anne, I'll leave that to you. What kinds of silent auction items do we want? Price point. I would say if we can get items that are $50 and above, then that would be great. We always look at ways to try to bundle as well. So if we get a number of items that are kind of thematically connected, then we can pull those together and make it more attractive. Like, you know, if we get donations of socks from 12 different people, then we get a dozen socks all of a sudden. Perhaps Sean and Stacy could co-host. Maybe, no, actually I'm going to co-host with Shauna because we need somebody who has the Rotary perspective, and we need somebody who can be abused. Doug, $50 and up. If people want to pull things together, we can need the next 3 weeks. Yes. So I don't know if there are any other questions. Next steps is the Ways and Means Committee, which is literally everybody in the club. I'll send out a note about a meeting next week. We'll do a doodle and see what works for everyone. But we'll carry on with this planning and consult along the way as appropriate.
Can I just have a point of clarification, please?
Yes, please.
Okay,
yes,
in
please.
your presentation, you talked about the ability to issue tax receipts. It is not the Community Foundation that would be doing that. It is the Rotary District 5370 Foundation that has the ability to receive donations.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Any other quick questions?
Mark, it's Anita again.
Hi, Anita.
Or have you come in contact with the group Enchanted Princess Parties as an entertainment prospect? Have you ever run across that?
I have not, but if that's a good option for an auction item, then we can definitely look at that. Or, you know, I can just book them for myself for the coming weekend.
No, but an option. It could be an auction item, but it could be a source for entertainment in amongst whatever else your program is as well. Okay. She does those kinds of things, and it's enchantedparties.ca.
Nice. Well, thank you for that.
Mark?
Yes.
I just asked a question in chat. You probably just rolled by it. But
sorry.
The 250 tickets that we purchased, did anybody have refunds, or are they still holding their tickets waiting?
The 250 is our target at this point. We have a number of folks who have let their tickets stay and move on to the next event. We had not a large number of folks need to ask for refunds, so there were a couple of tables that we refunded, and probably 6 or 8 individuals who needed to be refunded, but the majority that we talked to as we were kind of exiting the live event were, they said, you know, they were in support of, you know, just let us know when the next event is. So, you know, there would be some interest.
Does John Farlinger have a table?
I'm pretty sure that he's still booked. I don't think we reimbursed, because I sent a note out through Eventbrite to say, if you want reimbursement, let us know, but we'd be happy for you to just leave your funds with us. And I don't think he did.
Okay, I think there aren't any more pressing questions. I think we need to move on.
Thanks, Mark, for going first there.
No problem.
So I have nothing fancy like Mark does. I'm just going to talk off the top of my head. So this should take about 30 seconds to 3 minutes. I'm just going to give everyone a quick update of what my group is doing, just sort of from and the steps that have happened since the beginning about 2.5 months ago to where we are now. So in the early stages, Anne had approached me and asked when COVID first was coming out and city businesses were starting to shut down as well as the country. And we talked about if the club could do something about that. So we talked about it in very loose terms. This was about a week before the April board meeting or so. Discussed more at the April board meeting, and lo and behold, when the board meeting concluded, there I was in charge of a task force, so to speak, to address COVID or how the club could address COVID in the city. So very loose arcs of fire. I went through a bit of a process. In the Army, you'd call it an estimate process. So I did that for a bit. Then I briefed the club leadership, so essentially Mark and Anne, as the, because this is going to go over Anne's term into Mark's term as club president. Gave them some thoughts that I had, asked for a bit more direction and guidance. Generally, they were happy about that, so on we went. From that, I formed a committee, recruited and formed a committee. I had the latitude to pick who I wanted, and I'll get into my committee for a second, and then go from there. So the committee that I have, there's 4 of us, Andre Charwa, Lynn King, Kathy Heron, and Doug Campbell. And the reason I chose those 4 Rotarians is basically because they're tied into the, I think they have a good finger on the pulse of what the city needs are. Kathy is mayor. Doug in his role as president of the St. Albert Community Foundation. Lynn in her previous role as a social worker before she retired. And Andre for his work with Inclusions Alberta. So we met about a month ago for the first time on Zoom, first of 9,000 Zoom meetings this month that I've had, so it's pretty awesome. And I took them through the presentation I'd given to Mark and Anne and sort of talked about the methodology, but more importantly, I asked for their thoughts on it. And some of the key takeaways that came from the first meeting is that we should approach this in a phased approach, sort of look to get some money into the community, sort of with some urgency, and then sit back, reassess, and see what's going to happen going forward. There's no expectation that this is going to wrap up by the middle of summer or whenever. It's a very open-ended timeline. So the intent is we're going to first look to help out some organizations that need help, and then reassess, and then go from there. One of the other key takeaways, we wanted to exploit any opportunities for matching funds, whether it be through Rotary, through club members being able to contribute should they want, etc. And the other takeaway is we decided to take on a member of the city, at least on a temporary basis, for some input. So we did our second meeting about 6 days later, and included in that was Linda Knobloch, who's with the City of St. Albert, I believe her job title is Community Development Coordinator, but she was well tied in with Doug with the Community Foundation, and she took us through a list of organizations that were, in her opinion, more needy than others. One of the things we looked at, particularly there, and sort of the things we focused on were smaller organizations that you may not have heard of that kind of fly under the radar. Everyone knows the food bank is a large organization that different people have supported. A lot of other people probably know that the food bank has got about $100,000 in funding from groups like the T8N100. So good on them. We just looked at some organizations that probably weren't as high profile, but still had laudable goals that could use our support. So the four organizations in particular that we talked about were the St. Albert Bereavement Fellowship, St. Albert Out Loud, the Youth Emergency Counseling Fund, not an organization per se, but a fund for providing counseling to youth, and Stop Abuse in Families, or SAFE, as you're familiar with, which I know seems counterintuitive to smaller, but I'll get to that in a minute. Following that second meeting, I briefed our committee's recommendations or progress to date to the board. There was some discussion about allocations. It wasn't finalized yet. So we had a bit of a good discussion on that. And then our latest meeting, we had our third meeting last week, where the intent was to allocate some funds. So the four organizations that I mentioned are the four that we're looking at going forward with. So Youth Emergency Counseling Fund to the tune of for $4,000. Stop Abuse in Families. Now, the reason we did this organization in particular is because there was a very narrow time frame to put in a grant application to the district for matching funds. So Lynn King took that on, put it together quickly, and SAFE had programs that would meet the criteria. So we're going to, SAFE is another recommended for $5,000. Now 2,500 of that is club funds. 2,500 of that would be matched from district. St. Albert Out Loud for 1,000, and St. Albert Bereavement Fellowship for 500. So the total of club funds that would be allocated are 8,000. My initial budget was $15,000, but if you actually include the district funds that are being thrown in, it's a total of $10,500. So that's where we are now. Now that's not all of the money that's being spent. Again, going back to the intent, we're going to look to have that approved, so to speak, issue that out, and then from there, my committee's going to have another touch point in the middle of mid-June, when we'll discuss what's our progress to date, with a view to meeting again in the summer months. If you've read the Gazette in the last couple of weeks, the St. Albert Community Foundation has some federal funds, and they're taking applications from groups. Some of those that are not successful would perhaps be considered by our group. But then again, there's other ways of supporting as well. So that's where we are right now, in about how long that was. Questions?
How does it fit with the Community Services Committee? Is there an overlap there?
No, thanks for that question, Anita. So one of the initial things I did was talk to Jen McCurdy, who with Community Services had doled out about $11,000. I don't have the exact amounts in front of me, but Food Bank was one of them. SAFE was one of them. I believe Mustard Seed was one of them. So we didn't want to. We didn't want to just keep giving to the same organizations. We wanted, like I said, one of the key considerations was to look at smaller organizations that have same needs and requirements that perhaps fly under the weather. Some of the things we looked at in particular were mental health, youth, and to some extent, and to seniors. So the organizations that we chose fit one of those criteria, or several of them. I see a question in the chat bar about victim services. So fair point. One of the things Doug did is he presented a list. There's about 33 organizations all up that could have been considered. So without trying to sound catty here, we could have taken $500 and given $500 each to 30 organizations, and that would have been $15,000. I don't know that may have been fair, but it probably would not have been effective. We tried to strike a balance between what's an amount of funds that that would meet an organization's requirements, because for some it'll be greater than others, versus just splitting them up across the board.
The money then comes in and then gets rerouted to wherever the club wants it or designates it.
Right, I'd just like to add a comment as well to complement what you're saying.
Yeah, please, Lynn.
So one of the things that was really important is that we reach out to people in the community to find out what is going on and where the needs are. And in particular, the ones chosen, what resonated was mental health is important right now, particularly with youth in isolation and also with seniors. And what I heard in talking with SAFE was that there's a rise in a need for seniors, especially around elder abuse, appearing more so during this period. And so that was one of the reasons why we targeted those areas that we did.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay, if there are no more questions,